a world where laughter was king. When everything you know was wrong.
We are fighting the fake news.
Yeah, that sounds fun. Let's set some boundaries with a spoiled control freak. Is that why you're doing this? Well, then get your shit together. All your shit. So it's together.
In a few hours, she'll probably be sane enough to work herself into some sort of towering Jesus-based rage at the hazy recollection of being seduced by some kind of cruel Samoan.
I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. I'm afraid I can't help it. I'm afraid I can't. I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. I'm afraid I can't help it. I'm afraid I can't. I'm afraid of Americans.
Who are these people, these faces? Where do they come from? They look like caricatures of used car dealers from Dallas. And sweet Jesus, there are a hell of a lot of them at 4:30 on a Sunday morning.
I don't know if you've noticed lately, but I kind of am afraid of Americans, like all of them, because they sound like this right now.
Yes, ma'am.
This is a planned demic. This is totally political, and you know it.
You cannot escape God, not even with the mask or 6 feet. Okay? 6 feet, like I said before, is military protocol. So when the cameras, the 5G comes out, what? They're gonna scan everybody. We gotta get scanned. We gotta get temperatured. The kids have to go to school with masks. Are you insane?
I am not a terrorist.
Oops, I didn't catch it. Thank you.
I am not a sex slave that wears masks. I am not into sadomasochism and bondage.
How disgusting, how shameful, how criminal, how corrupt. This is a hoax, it's a fraud. There's nobody dying in excess of any other year in the last decade. Are you aware of that? Stop listening to
and trust Larry.
Trust Larry. Are you even listening to yourself?
Checkmate.
Did you bring those with you just to do that?
Maybe.
Hey, bro!
What's your question?
My question is, what the hell?
I have a police officer.
That's No Dope on Sundays from YouTube with that little cross expose of Parks and Rec versus actual city council meetings right now. And you know what's fun? That was not like one spot either. That was both sides of the coast, California. I think the other one was in like Santa Monica. These people are insane.
I have a question. Quick question. What the hell? What the actual hell?
Which part? What? There's a lot to unpack here today.
Oh no, I'm just saying. I was just mocking that video. You got a question? What the hell?
Oh, I'd say yeah. I don't understand the outrage. Okay, you've had to wear a mask, right?
Oh God, and I fucking hate it.
Well, you know, I don't like wearing pants. I know a guy on this show actually that agrees that doesn't like wearing pants.
I don't like wearing pants,
and he is
not wearing them right now.
He is not wearing pants right now.
Do not ask me to prove that. You don't want to. You don't want to see it.
Please don't. So, but for as much as you don't like wearing pants, have you ever gone to Walmart in your boxers? I mean, not on purpose.
No,
accidents happen. Accidents happen. We understand that, but
not on purpose. Not on purpose. There was that one time during band camp. No, but I have gone in like pajama pants.
Oh yeah, but I mean, okay.
Which of course
you get the point I'm trying to make though about the masks versus the pants. You got to wear pants. So what's the big deal? They're not comfortable. People are claiming that they're building up CO2 in their bloodstreams and they can't breathe, and that's what all this is about. That's kind of that. No, it's not about that. Mental abuse.
It's not about it's uncomfortable and I can't breathe and the CO2. No. It's about being told by government, you're going to wear the fucking mask. You're going to wear the mask and you're going to like it. Especially that piece of shit in Dallas, Clay Jenkins. Fuck you, asshole. Fuck
Why is everybody...
you.
Yeah, but don't be so angry. You are really raging right now. You've dropped 5 F-bombs since the show started that I'm going to have to clean up to get our PG rating. And you know what bothers me? That's my role. That is my role on this show. I don't appreciate you.
Oh, thank God! I don't have to do it anymore. Oh,
I don't appreciate you usurping my.
Speaking of which, how is the cult life?
It was. I told you it wasn't a cult. I got back into hardcore drugs, and I had to go back to stripping on the weekends.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Upgrade gonna get his money.
Upgrade is gonna get his money.
Upgrade gonna get his money.
He's gonna find a time machine. I don't care what it's gonna take. He's gonna come get his money.
Well, you know, Frito, if there wasn't a time machine, there wouldn't have been any money because you couldn't go back because of the interest.
You know, for the smartest guy in the world, you're kind of a dumbass. I like money.
I was just in jail. Can I? Oh, then you're in the wrong line, dumbass. Speaking of that, we've got Dwayne Alizo Camacho, a.k.a. Donald Trump, who I swear to God,
No. Camacho was fucking awesome.
Well, it's Trump's. Listen, if Trump could be Camacho, he would, right? We almost had that military 4th of July thing. We know what he meant. Okay, he was talking about parades and so. No, he was like, I'm coming out with M16s and I'm riding the tank.
No, he wanted to. What are you saying, that he wanted to cruise through the Washington Mall?
Yes,
on a freaking trike with a guy next to him saying, "Hey, hand me a beer. Come on, that's it."
Yes, that's exactly what I think he would have done. Absolutely. And you know what? He's not even the only one. You know who else I think really wanted to do it? Here's a sign of how much the world's changed. Not only did he really want to do it, but he kind of did do it. And when he kind of did do it, it really backfired on him, was Mike Dukakis. And he rode in on a tank, and it did not go well for him. And you kind of get the feeling with the world the way it is, that if that were repeated, man, with the right music, Kid Rock, or like, what's that crackhead that's always on, Ted, Nuge, the Nuge. It's the Nuge.
Ah, yes, the Motor City Madman.
He's something, all right.
Yeah,
Speaking of motor, you're good at this, Rob. You're a professional, Mr. Rotten. Speaking of segues, actually, no, not speaking of Motor City, which is a segue. See what I did there?
Yes.
Big story right now: NASCAR. A lot of changes happening in NASCAR.
I thought we were going to talk about Segway going out of business.
I hadn't heard about that. Tell me.
Oh my God!
Tell me stories.
That was going to revolutionize transportation for the human race is declaring bankruptcy and going out of business.
Segway, if you will recall, is
Mall Cops.
Yes, thank you. I was going to say Paul Blart, but it's
the only people you ever see riding them are mall cops, college cops, and old people on big tours of like Disney.
You will also see them at the airport.
Yes, that's true.
Any place where there's actually like any place where there's like actually a lot of movement to be had by. I'm sorry, it's a bad time to be a cop. I'll stop. I won't be mean. Not at the moment. It's going to come later.
We're not talking about cops. We're talking about mall cops.
That's true, but a mall cop, if he could tase and shoot somebody with rubber bullets, he would be all in. The mall, what scares me more than American cops are the guys that run the docks at the big buildings and the guys working at the mall. Those people scare the dog piss out of me.
Honestly, if mall cops were able to carry guns or tasers or anything,
I told you the story.
I would sign up. I would be there. I would be all over.
I told you the story about the building I was in downtown Dallas, where I literally got backed into a corner by a guy that we are pretty sure had a gun. I was trying to drop some garbage. I'm not going to say what tower it was, but it was in one of the big towers. I was trying to drop some garbage off at the dock. I got permission to pull my truck in, and I went up 40, 50 stories to this office where all our garbage was and started hauling it down. I'm at the top floor. And here comes this, not the uniformed dock master, but like the head of security for the building. And
was he the head of security or just the head of security?
He was a little short guy and was not very happy with
Napoleonic syndrome.
All of that. And he came up and all of this, like, I'm 6'3", 250. This guy was 5'6", maybe $1.25, like really a little dude. He wore a trench coat with shoulder pads to make himself look bigger, bro.
Oh,
it was a 1980s power suit all over again. And so he comes up and he puts his finger right in my chest and he goes, I don't give a fuck who you work for. We have rules here at this blah, 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 blah tower. And I was like so taken aback because he had pinned me. He had pinned me between this the edge of the building. I was up against a window and a column, and him and this security guard. And my partner was working down the hallway, and I caught a glimpse of him.
No use.
Which is, what's he going to do? Come in and fight the guy? What was I going to do? Come in and fight the guy?
Yes.
No. Well, no, you don't. You just don't. I got a job to do, man. I'm not trying to fight this dude and lose my job because I would be wrong in any case. So
actually, no. He was the aggressor.
Yeah, but they're not going to see it that way.
If he made physical contact with you in the state of Texas, you are well within your rights to whoop that fucker's ass.
Well, okay, fair enough. But you got to understand, being in this building, he's the security guy. I'm going to have to prove that. So why bother? Anyway, my partner's down the hall. I can see him out of the corner. We didn't talk about this until like a month later. And I was talking to my buddy about it, and he goes, man, that guy looked like he was ready to shoot you. And I said, I told him when he came up on me, I said, man, you are fiddling with something in your, after he got up in my face, I'm like, you are fiddling with something in your pocket right now. Are you armed? And he like was caught off guard that I'd called him on it. And I knew I had him dead to rights. And I'm like, dude, first off, you are not an armed guard. You're not supposed to have a weapon. I guarantee you your employer here at this tower has a sign on the front door that says you're not allowed to make entrance as a concealed carry permit holder. You're in violation right now. And quite frankly, the way that you're behaving is rather intimidating. That's another crime. So I suggest you just back up and get out of my face because I'm not going to tolerate this. And so I kind of, moved him out of the way and immediately left the building. I left the building. I got in my truck. I called the office and was like, I cannot believe this just happened. I thought this guy was going to draw down on me over some garbage on the dock, and he was in my face.
In Texas, he probably would. Now, and that's the bad thing is that you have these cocky, arrogant a-holes that, I have a concealed carry permit, so I'm going to act like a tough guy. They have no idea what it is to actually be a responsible gun owner.
Well, and that sucks, right?
You always have to look out for.
It sucks because there are a lot of responsible gun owners. Anyway, I digressed. I was going to jump into NASCAR because first off, that's where you're really comfortable talking about. It's a sport we both enjoy. And actually, as part of our friendship, I get a whole lot out of your expertise on the subject. It's really enjoyable for me to go, hey, what the fuck? We've had several of those moments over the last couple of weeks, right?
My God, have we ever?
First the Confederate flag, then
no.
Bubba
You got to backtrack further than that, my friend. You've got to backtrack all the way to the COVID, the 10 weeks that NASCAR was gone while they were doing iRacing. Because that was where we had the first tinge that set up this whole new narrative.
Sure. So not only did we have Matt?
I have some other information that I didn't think of before to actually add to the conversation.
I was going to compare you to Matt DiBenedetto and the fact that you both like to do things at home pantsless.
He is my NASCAR spirit animal.
Cracked me up because he was on camera like you are. All you can see is the top, and it was his wife. Wasn't it his wife that called him out and put up the pictures of him?
Put up a picture on Instagrams, and he's just wearing a set of boxer briefs. The next week, when everybody was giving him a hard time about it, he decides, hey, you know what? I'm going to wear a giraffe suit to race in. So whenever I come and spin you out, you can't get upset because I'm wearing a giraffe costume.
You just got spun out by a giraffe. How do you get mad at that?
Exactly. But the very first tinge of the conversation that we're about to have, you have to think back to what did Kyle Larson do on iRacing?
Oh, he dropped the N-bomb and got fired.
He lost it all.
Fired. In one utterance, fired. Do you think it was... I hate to set you up like this because there's only one answer you can give and not be in trouble, right? Do you think it was the right move
for the sponsors and everybody to drop them? or for him to, or
well, it was not the right move for him to.
Right move. Obviously, it was not the right move to say it.
Yes, not good. Was it the right move for the team, for the sponsors, for NASCAR to basically eliminate, just end this guy's
Well, the team
career?
had no choice. The team really had no choice. Chip Ganassi's hand was forced as soon as Credit One Bank, McDonald's, Chevrolet. I mean, when your manufacturer stops backing you, you know you've done fucked up and you are done for. So Chip Ganassi really had to sever ties. But I think that given the climate, obviously, you really, I mean, that's a word that nobody should be saying. I don't care who you are, what color you are. Guess what? That word shouldn't be said.
Check it out. I have spent most of my life around black people and Mexicans and gays and black trans people and like just everybody, man. I'm pretty cool to hang out with. I'm cool. I like to be around people. I'm not really all that intimidated with diverse groups. I kind of fit in with the misfits. So that's always been my people. And I have black friends that I'm like down with, like down, you know. And we've, my buddy Eric and I, we've talked about this. If I were to, in conversation and joking with him, drop the N-word, it'd probably be okay. I mean, context is everything, but it'd probably
cool
be okay.
When you're amongst friends.
It's not, but the thing is that it's like one person, it would be okay to him. All right. But the way I feel about it is that that's just him tolerating me being an ignorant asshole. And like with you, I love you to death. Now, I love you to death, but there's plenty of times I
you as an ignorant asshole, though. I think that is just him saying, I'm cool with you. I know that coming from you, there's absolutely nothing racial about it. That's just you.
We disagree on that because, again, what I think it really amounts to when it's like you get a free pass like that is I'm just going to excuse you for being a dipshit. Like with you and me, right? I do plenty of dipshit stuff. And you love me anyway.
Yes.
And you do plenty of dipshit stuff, and I love you anyway. And you're my best friend.
You're kind of like my Tiger King. You're kind of like the Tiger King without the tigers.
Or the meth. Or the... if I'm a meth head, I am like the world's fattest meth head, for sure. No, but the point is that, again, we excuse each other's failings because if I were to get upset about all of the things that you do, or you get upset about all the things that it'd be a pretty shitty relationship. The same goes for me and Eric. If he was upset at me all the time for doing stupid shit, he'd just always be upset at me, and vice versa.
Yep.
So I think when it's like, hey, it's cool that you say this, what they're really saying is, I don't really think it's cool that you say this, but we're cool. And so, all right, it's all right. And so I feel like automatically that's not a pedal you want to press anyway. Like if you make a mistake or you know, whatever, but even though I know it's okay and it would be okay with him, I don't do it. I try not to do it. I'm not aware that now that I really stop and think, and I have to ask him if I've ever actually said it.
I was going to say, that's a word that you really stay away from.
I don't use it. I just don't. It's very offensive, that N-word, because for me, it's like fag versus faggot, right? If you are friend or family and you call me a faggot, well, you better have a pretty good goddamn reason for it, or it better be a really funny joke, because if it's not and you just called me a faggot, I'm going to be pretty offended by that. Fag, okay, you're a fag, I get it. But for me, it's that faggot word, and so I know how that makes me feel. I don't want to make other people feel that way just because I think it's funny to try and like fit in or black-splain or be blackish or any of that. It's not cool, so I don't do it. And then on top of it, every once in a while, you may not remember or even know who you're around. And you're going to let something really stupid slip. If you use that word, even as a joke, around people that are comfortable with it, it becomes it's a channel that you've built into your vocabulary. It's a whole hell of a lot easier to get down that path if you've already beaten down that path a few times. And I think that's what happened with NASCAR.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, anytime that you're on iRacing and you have the all communications you know. You're using the radio setting and, oh, wait, you broadcast it to everybody. guess what? Somebody's recording that. And somebody's putting it out there. And before you know it, you have a lot of questions to ask.
You got a lot of explaining to do.
And Kyle Larson got bit in the ass. Now, some of his sponsors did stick around saying, hey, we know this guy. We've been with this guy for a very long time. We know that that is not his character. It's not something that he would say normally, though you kind of have to wonder. And he's been able to continue racing in the World of Outlaws, and he's won a shit ton of races in the World of Outlaws since they've come back from COVID-19 lockdowns. But a NASCAR ride is not exactly on the horizon for him, and I feel bad because he really is. He's a talented young guy. He made one mistake. I thought we were a more forgiving society, but
no, not at all.
But as time has gone on, I've seen just how crappy, and shitty, and ugly society can be. So not really totally surprising, but I will say this. I will not be surprised if he's back in the NASCAR Cup Series next season in 2021.
Well, and so we have that happen.
I can think of one owner who's crazy enough to give him a ride next year.
Who?
Tony Stewart.
Yeah, that's okay. You may be right.
I might be crazy.
We'll see what happens. I mean, he money talks. We know that much. So if he can smooth things over with the knee-jerk reaction in these times to sever all ties with him, but again, that may not be something that he has to deal with forever. So we start off with that issue and the N-bomb, and then we immediately, and so it's really interesting to me that you jump back to that, because I don't think that the casual observer of NASCAR, I don't even really think they were aware the iRacing was happening. Okay, I've watched every race since they've come back, and I did not watch a single iRace. Okay, so
the ratings that Fox Sports 1 and Fox Sports put up during that time shows that there were people watching it.
Bro, there were people cheering for championship bowling at that point. I mean, any port in a storm. I mean,
Las Vegas was taking bets on Korean baseball.
That's exactly. So you're picking up what I'm laying down here. What I think is interesting is that the next piece of this puzzle is the Confederate flag, and the person who's taken the most rap for kind of pushing that issue at NASCAR is Bubba Wallace.
Yes,
and Bubba Wallace. And what I think, like I said, what's really interesting to me is that they had this racial incident during a race on television with a driver dropping an N-bomb.
Well, luckily that wasn't actually broadcast. It was just on Twitch. It wasn't a NASCAR related iRace. It was just him racing some other special thing that wasn't being televised.
See, I didn't catch that. That kind of.
It was just on a streaming.
It doesn't change. It doesn't. It still makes him super toxic.
It doesn't change that. I'm just saying that it wasn't. It's not like a national audience was exposed to it in real time.
But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is it's interesting to me that obviously there's this thing that exists in NASCAR. You've got a driver that got in trouble for dropping this racist term, and yet it's Bubba Wallace, the black guy, who gets blamed for this blowback or pushback, a banning of the Confederate flag. What say you, Rob Rotten?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, a few years ago, NASCAR did politely ask fans, please don't bring that flag. Please don't fly that flag. If you bring that flag to the track, you can exchange it for a driver flag or an American flag, and we will be happy to provide that to you.
Oh, if really? You want to exchange, you could bring it and get like another cooler flag.
Yeah,
the track?
Yeah. I mean, I could bring him like a
gun buyback sort of
flag and walk to a trailer and walk away with a Dale Jr. flag.
You know how rednecks feel about gun buybacks. That was never going to work.
That's very true.
Flag buyback, gun buyback. I mean, it's just, come on, let's have a
conversation. No, I'm just kidding. Now, a few years ago, they politely asked you to leave it at home. Don't bring it. Don't have it on your RV or your camper, your bus, whatever. Now, in the years since then, NASCAR has actually gone from being this big publicly traded entity to a private entity, which means that the sandbox is now solely in the control of the France family again, which means that they could pass whatever rules they want. And they have said, no more Confederate flags. Don't bring them. Don't fly them. I think they're still offering the buyback program. So if you really wanted to get some free merch for trading in that, you can. But like you said, with gun buybacks, I don't see that being a program.
It's that argument that's made, like, where, okay, when the sport first started, were a lot of the drivers supportive of Confederate Southern pride, KKK kind of stuff? Yeah,
I don't think that's the case, but I can say that the overwhelming majority of drivers were.
You got to get on board with this.
Criminals.
Culturally, that group of people, they may not have been advocating. I can look at the history of the sport. All I'm saying is that just because this is like something that they do outside of racing, that does not mean that that's what the sport was about. That doesn't mean that's what stock car racing was about. And it cracks me up that people are like anti-black, NASCAR, all this stuff, because to me it's like a natural joining. Like, these black people should like NASCAR because NASCAR was started by people that fucking hated the cops and were running from the police.
Exactly.
And if that is not like a thing black people can get behind, that's what I like about it. Like, yeah.
Well, and honestly, I mean, we've both seen the documentary Talladega Nights, the documentary starring Will Ferrell.
I play online on PS4 in NASCAR Heat 4 as Ricky Bobby.
See,
and that's my online.
If you remember the very opening part of that movie, there was a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt saying, "America's all about speed, hot, something badass speed." You know. Obviously, America loves speed. I mean, otherwise, the Indianapolis 500 wouldn't be running every year for more than a century now, only taking a couple years off in between there.
So there ends up being this big kerfuffle over the Confederate flag. They banned the thing. Some people are pissed, but I feel like a lot of people are kind of cool with it. And then, right on the tail of that, comes this story about Bubba Wallace and then the noose they found in the garage. And Bubba Wallace went on to CNN. Bubba Wallace went on to CNN, and he described
with race agitator Don Lemon.
I didn't realize he'd gotten new business cards.
Yes,
I should see about getting some of my own, if that's what we're calling Don Lemon. I could be I could be an agitator. I mean,
I could call him a few different things, but okay.
Let's not.
I'm sorry.
It's bad days.
CNN.
You know, I was trying to introduce a piece of tape here. Can I play the tape? Is that okay?
No.
Bubba Wallace and Don Lemon. This is when Bubba describes the moment that the head of NASCAR called him to tell him about this noose.
The conversation that I had with Steve Phelps was, I would say, and I'm speaking for him, I would probably say one of the hardest things, if not the hardest thing he's ever had to tell somebody. Tears rolling down his face, choked up on every word that he was trying to say, that the evidence that he had brought to me that a hate crime was committed, quote unquote. And I immediately thought my family was in danger. And so I was about ready to call my mom and dad and to make sure everybody was okay.
So I want to just kind of keep going through this so we don't get bogged down a whole lot. Essentially what happened is Bubba is told by NASCAR that they'd found this thing. And the way NASCAR found out about it is because one of his crew members saw it, told the crew chief told NASCAR, NASCAR called the FBI, NASCAR releases the statement, and NASCAR calls and tells Bubba. So at this point, in Bubba's story, he hasn't seen the thing at all. I think he
never saw it firsthand.
Firsthand, right? He's never seen it in person. He's seen pictures, and at this point, I think we've all seen pictures. And the one thing that NASCAR has done in the interim is they've went and checked every track. All 29 tracks, right? 29 tracks, all the garages.
I'm pretty sure Speedway Motorsports Incorporated, SMI, I'm pretty sure they checked theirs as well, just to be on the safe side.
So something like almost 1,700 individual garages. And they found 11 similar type of ropes. And that was the only garage pull in a noose configuration in all of NASCAR. Now,
somebody obviously wanted it to be secure.
if you don't know anything about NASCAR, it might lead you to believe that Bubba was targeted, even if it doesn't look like what we thought it was, which is this big hangman's noose hanging at the, something really dramatic. I think I would have had some questions when I'd seen it tied onto a place where I would have expected a rope, because it's like part of the garage pole. But arguably, it's a noose. So,
see, but here's the thing that I had, the issue I had from the get-go was, who in NASCAR would be so stupid as to maliciously put that there?
Oh, well, that's what I was trying to lead into here, especially with you, is because you're the expert. And we've talked about this because I was curious. Say I wanted to target Bubba. I don't know why I would, but say that's
a really hard time until they came here to Texas.
Well, the point is how do I know what garage he was assigned to? There's no way I could have. We could have planned this out in advance.
No, there was no way that anybody knew ahead of time which garage stall was going to be Bubba Wallace's. They are assigned based on owner's points, with the top car in the owner's points receiving the most preferred garage stall, and subsequently from there on down, you get your garage stall. Nobody would have known that, Bubba was going to be in stall number 4.
And so Bubba sees the secondhand photos of this noose, and same thing we're talking about. Well, was it a noose? Wasn't a noose? And this is what he thinks.
I've been racing all my life. We've raced out of hundreds of garages that never had garage pools like that. So people that want to call it a garage pool and put out old videos and photos of knots being in their evidence, go ahead. But from the evidence that we have, that I have, it's a straight up noose. The FBI has stated it was a noose over and over again. NASCAR leadership has stated that it was a noose. I can confirm that. I actually got evidence of what was hanging in my garage, over my car, around my picker guys, to confirm that it was a noose, and never seen anything like it.
And so when you look at the photos, he's not wrong. It is a noose. But the point that I think cooler heads are trying to make here is that, number one, there's no way he was targeted in the first place because of the randomness of the garage assignments. There was very little time for anybody to make this thing in his garage. So what it looks like to me, and tell me if you agree, it looks to me like this was really just totally random. It doesn't change the fact that what he came up upon was a noose. It doesn't change the fact that during these times where NASCAR's got a driver dropping the N-bomb and losing them sponsors, where they've taken on and banned the Confederate flag, I don't think it's really that much of a stretch for everybody in NASCAR to go, whoa. And they took these steps. I applaud them. I applaud the FBI for getting involved. It was a noose. I don't think he was targeted. And can we all just start racing again? And the thing you've pointed out is how opportunistic Bubba and his family have been kind of capitalizing on bitching about the lack of sponsors on CNN. And it seems like it's 24-hour Bubba right now.
A whole lot about sponsorship on
his mama sure did.
Huh?
His mama sure did.
Oh, on Sirius XM. Now, this was on some other channel, not the one I typically listen to. She was part of an interview, and it starts off with, this isn't the first time my son has encountered racism when racing. Then why is he still racing? I mean, hello, if it's such a racist sport, why is he still racing? But at the same time, as the interview progressed, and the host showed just how ignorant he is of the whole sport, and he was obviously just pushing some sort of agenda or something. I don't know what. But she started talking about, he can't run up front because the car doesn't have the sponsorship, that businesses aren't willing to sponsor him. And then she issued a challenge to businesses to step up and sponsor her kid.
Yeah, it's a little much, right?
Yeah, I mean, and the host responds with, well, I'd like to see a Sirius XM car on the track.
Bro, Seriously?
Just 3 weeks ago, Martin Truex Jr., the 2017 NASCAR Cup Series champion, won a race.
Yeah, and my stock in SiriusXM went up the next day.
By SiriusXM.
He's such a dick. What a doof.
I mean, he's run that car 5 or 6 times, and every time he does, he finishes in the top 10. So I think SiriusXM should just step up and sponsor him full time. At least my driver would get another championship. Come on now.
Now, it's interesting because NASCAR's response to this, not only did they start this investigation, but I think they really painted everybody involved in the sport with a suspicious brush, and that's never fun to be suspected of something like this, even tangentially. And on top of it, they threatened to drum out whoever they did this. And it turns out that it wasn't malicious at all. It was just happenstance and coincidental. And now you've got NASCAR calling everybody that works there or that has, a racist or a potential racist.
And I was talking to the wife earlier today, and I said, based on the reaction from Steve Phelps, first of all, very irresponsible of the president of NASCAR to go about it that way.
Boy, they sure could have called the FBI in and not made a statement.
But if they didn't make a statement, then they would have been accused of a cover up and hiding and all of that.
You think even if they'd let the FBI kind of deal with it first, and then you think that would have been cover up material? You might be right.
Well, I think that people would have been questioning the whole time.
So you think the policy for NASCAR was really just full transparency from get-go?
I think they wanted to be transparent. However, Steve Phelps allowed emotions to play a role in the crafting of the press release, the crafting of the statement. And if I were working for NASCAR or any NASCAR related entity this past week, I most likely would have quit or gotten fired. And I'm sure that it would be the latter, because as soon as Steve Phelps basically said, we're going to find the bastard that did this and we're going to run him out of the sport, I would have looked at him and said, fuck you. Straight up. I mean, I would have looked at him and said, you see what we're making a big deal of? Yeah, that's just to pull the garage door down. Shut your fucking mouth. And I would have ended up losing my job.
Because
I will not.
Likely. I just like I said, I know it's not fun. And what's really upsetting, for the guys that work for NASCAR, because they're not. I have a friend, Ethan, whose brother works for one of the teams. We've talked about this. He's on the pit crew. I like, they're good people.
He's on like the pit crew for.
I forget. I'd have to go look again.
Eric Jones.
Yeah, right.
The 20 car.
He beat me in Heat 4 last night. By the way, thanks, Eric Jones. Or at least your video game avatar. But anyway, what's really unfortunate about the whole thing is that the people who worked for NASCAR responded in such a positive fashion.
Jimmy Johnson sent a text message to Bubba Wallace on Sunday night after the race was postponed till Monday, saying, "Hey, Bubba, I'd like to stand next to you during the national anthem. Would that be cool?" And Bubba apparently lost his shit, started crying like a woman, and said, "Oh, that would be awesome." Then Kevin Harvick comes up with a text and says, "Hey, would it be cool if we did this?" And Bubba was like, "Absolutely." Kevin Harvick got clearance from NASCAR officials to push the 43 to the front of the field, as you're seeing on pit road, to where he is the 43 car, the legendary 43 car, is at the front of pit road when everybody else is behind. Well, then all of a sudden, all of the drivers, all of the pit crews, and some officials and everything, they all joined in on this happy, loving, we stand with Bubba moment. The hashtag I stand with Bubba was painted on the front stretch grass at Talladega. It was such a beautiful, heart-touching moment to fight racism.
Sure sounds like it.
and it was.
Hey, come on, it's cool. Like, it's cool. It's cool that they did it.
Under false pretenses.
It wasn't, though.
It was.
It wasn't. No. No. That's wrong.
They had the information already that it wasn't a malicious hate crime at the time that happened. They just decided to go ahead and still make this grandiose statement, which I don't mind.
You sure sound like you mind it.
Oh, I'm saying that it's misleading. It's more of the letting the emotions get ahead of the facts in the story.
I thought it was beautiful.
When NASCAR journalists, NASCAR analysts, NASCAR drivers and crews and teams, when they make you out to be the enemy, just because you are saying, wait, hold on, what are the facts? Me wanting to see the photo of the rope made me a racist. No, that made me wanting to see what it was and get the facts before I decide, how do I feel about this?
Well, I don't recall.
I don't like the way the whole thing went down. It really stinks. And unfortunately, we have a NASCAR doubleheader.
Well, so then what do you believe happened? I mean, if you can take the facts as presented and you're still upset because you feel like somebody took advantage, then who do you think took advantage of the situation and how?
NASCAR.
What happened?
NASCAR.
Okay, so be upset at NASCAR, but it sounds an awful, no, but maybe you specifically are, but I don't think most people are. I think most people are pissed off at Bubba Wallace.
Well,
and that's not right.
He's the face of this. And unfortunately,
so you're pissed off because NASCAR used the token black guy to virtue signal. And instead of being pissed off at NASCAR, you're pissed off at Bubba.
Well, I'm sure the general public probably yes. Me, on the other hand, no. I am pissed at NASCAR for taking advantage of such an. If they had just talked to Bob Pockris from the get-go, Bob Pockris from Fox Sports would have been able to show him a picture from October 14th, 2019 at 10-something in the morning. He would have shown him the rope right then and there, and they would have said, "Oh, it's been there." That's all that's all you needed. That was all you needed.
How do you know that that's the guy to talk to? You don't. They had to do this. Well, it's just the way that it goes.
He tweets it out and he puts it out there for everybody to see. You kind of know.
At what point?
Put it out there with the timestamp and date and everything.
You've already got the FBI involved. The FBI have to look into it. It's just the way this works.
Oh, I get.
Anyway, I don't get people being okay. If you want to be pissed off at NASCAR, so be it. But given the like I said, the environment surrounding NASCAR in the last few months, well, you can't really blame them.
The certain places at Talladega, I could see where emotions would be running high because you did have a plane flying overhead on Sunday with a Confederate flag saying "Defund NASCAR." You had people outside the speedway along the highway with Confederate flags and a few other things. You know, they were hosting their own, nonviolent, peaceful protest with their Confederate flags. I don't know what the motivations are in terms of, are they racist or are they just people who are proud? Proud of their Southern heritage? No, you don't.
Maybe you don't, but I think most of the rest of us
I will not stand for being called a racist myself. I'm not going to call other people racist just for the hell of it.
Okay,
but I wouldn't be surprised if there was some racist.
Thank you. That's all. That's all I'm looking for. Is that now? And these things, these topics, this racial stuff is it's hard to talk about. And one of the people who I think has really been talking about race is for a very long time. It's really not somebody you would think of when you think of artists or mainstream artists, celebrities that are like on the race tip. But I think Dave Chappelle has really done that for a long time. And most people can remember that Comedy Central bit with the race auction, right? Where we traded people around
draft.
The race draft, right? Well, he
Tiger
came
Woods
out with
officially became black. That was the big shocking pick.
And so it's funny, right? It's funny to see it presented in that manner. That's him taking his personal experiences with race and kind of wrapping it into something that we can all laugh at. I think that's what comedy is best at. But Chappelle's out with a new special right now called 846, and it is not funny.
Why would anyone care what their favorite comedian thinks after they saw a police officer kneel on a man's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds? I can't get that number out of my head because it was my time of birth on my birth certificate. I was born at 8:46 in the morning, and they killed this nigga in 8 minutes and 46 seconds.
Like I said, not funny.
No, I mean that special is not about comedy. It's about political commentary. It's about and to Dave Chappelle's credit, I will say this: he is a master when it comes to being able to be funny and give you things to really think about. I remember his last stand-up special on Netflix, which everybody panned and they hated, and the cancel culture just came out full force because he mocked them. And he also talked about the French actor, Jussie Smollett, saying, hey, black people stayed out of that one because we all knew that Jussie Smollett was making that stuff up.
Man. But how unfortunate, isn't it? Because
Comedy Central days with Chappelle's show, he did a great job with that. And when you learn about Dave Chappelle, and he's even talked about it openly, black kid growing up in a white neighborhood. He wasn't in the projects or in the hood. He was, middle class. So he has a different experience in life than a lot of other people. He's married to a Polynesian woman. So he's got biracial kids. So he's really in terms of comedians who can talk about these types of experiences.
It's very authentic.
And
it's
he
very
makes
authentic.
Everybody. Yeah. He's an equal opportunity offender, which I'm all for.
Well, he's very aware in this half-hour special it's actually not on Netflix, it's on YouTube. He's very aware that what he's doing is not funny at all. And what I found interesting is I have followed a lot of this social justice topic for a long time. I'm very contrarian, so I find it interesting to know what people are fighting against the government, fighting against the establishment. So I knew some of these stories about the Black Wall Street. Most people don't even know what I'm talking about. Dave Chappelle gets into some of this stuff, and there's more to it. I can only give you some of this, and I can only give it to you as third or fourth hand fact. He has a familial tie to race relations in the United States that comes up in the special. It's part of his family history. It's part of the Chappelle legacy in the United States. And if you want to know more about it, you can watch the special. And I think you're going to learn a lot. You're not going to laugh. It may be uncomfortable for some people, but, suffer through it. You'll be all right. You'll learn a few things. It may change your mind about a few things, but that's okay. We're not here, me and Rob, we're not here to coddle you. I'm not here to make you feel good about yourself or feel good about this suck hole that we're all in. All I can do is acknowledge the truth about what things are. I can give you some of my experience in life, and all I promise to do is be honest with you about these things. And as long as I can do that, then the rest of it's okay. I know this man sitting across from me, and he knows me. We know each other's hearts. I'm not going to sit here and debate topics with somebody that I know is a hateful person or a racist or part of the problem.
Wait, what are you trying to say? Are you trying to say I'm part of the problem? No. Okay.
What I'm saying is that you and I disagree. And I'm the hippie lib, and you're the conservative gun-toting Southerner. And we disagree.
That's actually true now.
We disagree on a lot.
We discussed before that I was a member of the NRA without a gun.
I'm going to get a gun. I'm okay with it. I live alone. You got two. My brother just bought his wife a Sig Sauer. And there's this meme of Danny DeVito. And they're talking about, it's this thing at the top where it's like, protesters say that if you fight for your property or something, you've committed a crime, and it's Danny DeVino at the bottom, and he goes, and anyways, I started blasting. And that reminded me of my sister-in-law. It reminds me of, of me. Frankly, if you're going to come in and try to take something from me or rob me or hurt my family, I'm going to fight back. And I just feel like we're at a place today that if I don't have a gun, I'm going to need a gun. You don't want to need a gun and not, you'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it, basically.
Exactly.
So,
and
I'm not afraid of them. I'm not going to carry it into battle looking for confrontation. It's just
no, but I'm going to have it in my house. Ready to go just in case. It's a precautionary measure. It's a security measure, because where I live out here, by the time the cops could even get here, I'm going to be dead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You live out in the boonies for sure.
Exactly. Now, you were talking about us disagreeing on things and having differing opinions and experiences, and that's what I think makes this show completely unique from so many other things out there. Usually, you're going to get one viewpoint, you're going to get one side of the story, you're going to get one set of opinions that all kind of glob together to give you this big giant message and this picture. We give you both sides of it so you can take what you agree with and take what you disagree with, and you can figure out how to be a more rounded individual. You're not so ignorant anymore.
Well, and you can make up your own damn mind, because we're going to present the differing sides of the opinion.
We are not here to control how the hell.
Oh, and then hey, listen, we don't try to control each other. So what the hell do you think? You're not that damn important to either one of us. I'm sorry, that's just the way it goes. So we're not in this to control you either. I appreciate the fact that you think that maybe that's something. There are a lot of people that use this medium to try and control others, to try manipulate the way they think. And, unless, I guess we could. Should we? We could, for money and profit. But I wouldn't be able. We already see. Here's the thing: is professionally, I've already had that opportunity a lot. I could have very easily gone from where I was to Fox News as to one of the big. Like Newsweek, not Newsweek, but I was thinking like The Nation or Newsmax or One America's News. I could have been, they tried to hire me at one point for sure, One America's News, but I know that operation. I know that dude. That place scared the crap out of me. And I'm somebody who worked alongside of the people that hired Ben Shapiro. I knew Shapiro 15 years ago before he was a corporate lawyer. He was a prodigy.
I'm so sorry for you knowing him that long. How did you tolerate talking to him?
Oh, I didn't interact with him at all. He just was around.
You're lucky because God.
He was just around. He was in the background. He's somebody that was consulting with the people who were my bosses. So just a name that was around. But this transition from lawyer prodigy to talk show host has taken place in the time that I've known him. I just didn't want to. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. Listen, people are really, you take a guy like me, people are really easy to manipulate. You just got to sell it. The trick is, I worked in talk radio for so long, I get it. The trick is really simple. You just need to believe your own bullshit. That's what the best talk show hosts in the country do. It doesn't make any difference what kind of crazy crap comes out of their mouths. They do it with conviction. And because they can do it with conviction, manufactured or not, they eat it up.
Yes, they do.
And I don't know if you've noticed, but that's a talent that both Rob and I have, is doing this with conviction. Taking a point and driving it home. So really, to be a scumbag, all you got to learn to do is take the point that's going to make you the most money, and that's the one you believe. That's it. It's not that hard.
No.
I could teach a class on it. We could teach a class on it.
Yeah, oh God, yes. Oh, I mean,
speaking of that, if you need
the red
consultants,
meat, the low hanging fruit. Oh God, we're all over.
And speaking of that, if you ever need a consultant, we are. I got to do something. I can't go back to stripping on the weekends. They're not going to let me in the club anymore.
Well, Upgrade's still going to get his money.
Right.
You know, it's funny. We've been on an extended hiatus now since the end of 2018. We missed all of.
I had a job. I
were in
left.
A cult. Shut up.
No, the truth is that I left radio entirely. I was on the air part-time for even a long time after I was done producing. And I didn't want to do it anymore. I was sick of it. I was sick of the people. I was sick. Listen, if I could go down, Rob knows this is a fact. If I could go downtown right now and go have a fist fight with some of the people that work at radio stations in downtown Dallas as they were walking out to their cars and just like beat the shit out of them for how terrible they are.
You would.
Not just as broadcasters, but like as human beings. And I use the term loosely. Because I threaten the parent company with having their license pulled because it's such crap. It's crap. It's like legit crap. Your mask is making you sick. No, it's not. No, it's not. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. And they say it on the air. And then not only does it go on,
it's making you sick, Nick. Stop it.
Not only does it go on, not only does it go, not only does it happen on the air, but then they post it on the social media too. And I'm like, you know what? I'm done. You are bound by the fucking license that you agreed to, broadcasted in the community interest. And that is absolutely against your license. And I'm sorry, but I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of it because the people own the airwaves. It's the lowest common denominator. It doesn't do anybody any good. And it's catering to the bottom.
Yes.
That's then I guess, you know what, ultimately as a broadcaster, that's the problem I have with it. It's boring crap.
Yes.
Listen, when all you can fucking sell is My Pillow and on all of your stations and the national, you are terrible.
Yes.
Nobody in your community gives a rat's ass about anything that you are doing. And that is why you scrape the bottom of the barrel on all your advertisers. That's why you're fighting to make sure that your investors don't come and burn you out of those offices. You're terrible. You are terrible at what you do. The programming you put out are terrible. A vast majority of the people, listen, there used to be people like me. I was not a partisan. I did not get into broadcast or into talk radio or into news or any of it because I had a point to drive home. I just like to talk. And there are a lot of good people still in the business like me, struggling part-time. And the people that are making the money are scumbags.
And hold on, there's a whole lot more of them that aren't in it anymore, that have been
especially during this COVID thing.
Yeah. Oh God.
Just demolished the industry. The industry basically.
You know the most depressing thing?
I feel like broadcast in the last 10 years is like it's a body hung up in a meat shop by their fucking ankles and having pieces cut out of them while they live through it. And just another big hunk. And here's the liver on a plate. And it's still alive. The body's still alive. That's what it's been like watching this. It's painful. It scared me to death. The idea that in my 50s or 40s or 30s, continuing on here, I just have to keep fighting to stay employed, that every moment of my life I could walk in and not have a job. That's what those people lived through. I couldn't do it. So I left, and I got a real job because I happen to be good at other stuff. And that took a lot of my time. I needed to spend some time studying. I needed to spend some time learning my craft. And I'm not like the best yet, but I'm getting there. I'm pretty comfortable with where I am as my ability to make a living. So it hasn't taken up quite so much of my energy. In addition, you and I...
During the hiatus, you've been able to get rid of the Nissan that had its transmission fail 3 times.
Oh God!
Documented.
I did. I bought. Yeah, we talked about that on the show.
Documented.
The Nissan's gone. It died again on Thanksgiving. As I was headed to Shreveport for a service call, and it died 80 miles out of town, and I had to tow it back on a flatbed. And it never.
I know that third time is just it was just too much.
I don't want to talk about it. I'm
I'm
so mad at you right now.
What I'm trying to say here is,
call me that I am a fucking loser.
No,
that needed
your car was a piece of crap because Nissan manufactured a piece of crap.
Anyway, we got rid of it, and you almost bought a Mustang, and I ended up with a brand new Ford Ranger.
Oh God, I've got a freaking Chevy dealership blowing me up right now.
I apologize for that.
With a Camaro RS,
they won't leave
SS
you alone.
with a V8, and it's so sexy. But
so anyway,
trying to refrain. But what I was trying to get to is 2020. The return of the dudes from Dallas is your fault. You've obviously needed a new asshole ripped, so we're here to do it.
And you know me, I love ripping assholes.
Yes, you do. More ways than one.
All right. So there are no sponsors. We don't have a website. I'm going to put probably like in the video like Twitter handles and stuff like that, but nothing to pimp out. I don't even know what the YouTube link is. It doesn't make any difference. We're just we'll figure it out later. We wanted to
we'll
have
still
a chat, talk about.
We'll still be out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts.
Oh, you can listen to the audio anywhere. Same place as always.
Now, if you don't know what we should. Oh shit!
Did we even tell them that? So let's take a step back. You are probably listening to the audio version of this. There's a video version now. Maybe we should have started with that.
Wait, are we gonna give the video version away for free, or should we start up a Patreon and make people pay for that shit? I don't know who would want.
Is that like I don't know? Is that like an OnlyFans?
Yeah, without the porn.
As long as I don't have to use the USB dildo or whatever that you like pay to buzz.
I don't think there's enough people that would actually pay to see us though.
No, that's my point. It's not making any money. Yeah,
I mean,
we're not making any much money
right for a reason.
Anyway, not a whole lot to tell you about after that, other than just find us, follow us. We'll probably do this a little more often. And anyway, it's been fun, Rom. I'll see you later.
You got it, Nick Vicious.